morning, and thank you for coming out on this very fine day. So July 2013 will mark the 60th anniversary of the armistice that marked the ceasefire in Korea. It is often referred to as America's forgotten war. Indeed, it was a conflict that marked a turning point in modern warfare. It was a war sanctioned by the United Nations and resulted in an outcome of something less than unconditional surrender of the enemy. Korea marked the first stalemate of the Cold War, and it was not to be the last. Difficult to comprehend. It was a war of geopolitics and hegemony, played out under the pall of an unthinkable Third World War. Indeed, the threat of additional conflict in Korea lingers to this very day. How could Korea become the forgotten war? How could America forget the 2 million casualties of that intensely brutal war that lasted a mere 37 months? How could America forget its 34,000 sons who died at the rate of nearly 1,000 per week? I'm here to tell you a story of one man from a small town in Massachusetts who went to Korea as a mere mortal and returned with a touch of immortality never to be forgotten. He was an extremely bright and charming young man who left college early to enlist in the Marines in September 1950. He returned to Hopedale briefly at Christmas time after completing basic training in Paris Island and deployed to the 1st Marine Division in Korea on January 28, 1951. By then, the Communist Chinese Army, the Red Army, was fully engaged in the conflict and had been since their unexpected entry during the previous winter at the Chosin Reservoir that nearly drove the Marine Corps into the sea. Now the 1st Marine Division were up against them in an area known as the Punch Bowl, a dormant volcano lying in treacherous mountain terrain. The fighting was as fierce as it was at Chosin. Many new replacements were now engaged in seemingly constant battle against the enemy. The Marine Corps Gazette reported it this way: mountains were no novelty to Marines with Korean experience, but they had seldom seen as chaotic a landscape as the one stretching ahead. Peaks of 3,000 feet brooded over a wilderness of seemingly vertical ridges rising from dark and narrow valleys. Few roads were available, and the frequent spring rains turned these native trails into bogs. Battles took place daily against fierce and entrenched foes. Day-long battles were fought for territory gains of only several thousand yards. During the first 10 days of June 1951, the 1st Marine Division lost 67 men killed in action. Those losses were higher than in any other month of the war, higher than during the famous Chosin River campaign. Among those dead was Corporal Richard J. Griffin. He received shrapnel wounds in battle on June 9th, was evacuated, and died aboard a hospital ship, USS Haven, on June 16, 1951. He had been a Marine for less than 1 year, in Korea for less than 5 months, and now he was coming home to be laid to his final rest. Dick Griffin lived on Cemetery Street, just a few hundred yards from where we stand today, and his grave is in this cemetery, where we honor him today, along with so many others who fought and died in defense of our country. We in Hopedale have not forgotten our son from the forgotten war. In October of 1964, the town of Hopedale dedicated a new 40-unit apartment complex for the elderly in his honor. Richard Griffin had been remembered once again for the lives that he had touched. A young attorney who knew Dick Griffin presided over the dedication. Perhaps these words capture the soul of the young man who died too young. He said, "Whoever coined the ancient proverb that the good die young had such as Dick Griffin in mind. Dick had all the gentler qualities: loyalty, modesty, courtesy, and a sense of the appropriate to a degree unusual in a person so young, and an unselfishness unique in a person of any age. He was truly one of those whom William James called the once born. That young attorney was our own Judge Francis J. Larkin, Colonel Francis J. Larkin. We thank him for keeping alive the memory of his dear friend Dick Griffin and for keeping him closer to our own hearts. And we thank him for keeping alive this fine tradition of commemoration with our Memorial Day parade here in Hopedale. He has shouldered this great burden for many years and is ready now to pass the torch to another generation of thankful Americans. Would you please join me in thanking Judge Larkin. Finally, in November 1994, this monument was dedicated to the veterans of Hopedale, some 159 of whom have served during the Korean War era. This stone behind me commemorates the memory of Richard J. Griffin, forever etched in granite as a single Hopedale resident killed in action in Korea. This member of the silent generation who fought in the forgotten war shall never be forgotten in Hopedale. Corporal Richard J. Griffin, may you rest in eternal peace alongside and with your fellow comrades in arms. So long as this granite stone bears your name and Americans remain grateful of their heritage, the memory of your life and your service shall never fade. Thank you, and God bless you all.